Clinton Boodle. How could it be that in the late 1990s, Democrat Bill Clinton's representative in China, quote, went to bat for Amway and Mary Kay? Amway was leading a national effort to elect Republican George W. Bush and coordinating campaigns to establish Republican dominance in Congress. It was seeking to stop FTC prosecutions. The FTC in the state of Wisconsin had prosecuted Amway for deception and price fixing. Amway had pled guilty to a massive tax evasion scheme in Canada. Clinton's aid to Amway to forestall global saturation would not only lead to more harm to more people, it would also feed the money machine working against Clinton's own party and consumer protection efforts. Helping Amway was therefore contrary to the public interest, but also to Clinton's own political interests, or so it would seem. In 1995, Clinton brought back into the FTC, this time as chairman, Robert Pitofsky, the person who had written the FTC acceptance of Judge Timoney's ruling on Amway, exonerating it of pyramid scheme charges. When he returned as FTC chairman, Pitofsky carried out a policy of prosecuting a few smaller MLMs, upstart competitors to Amway, giving an appearance of, quote, anti-pyramid consumer protection. This policy's actual message was to certify the legitimacy of the MLM industry and to protect the larger MLMs such as Amway. None of the prosecutions led to any wider inquiry into the MLM industry. He appointed Jody Bernstein as chief of the Consumer Protection Bureau, who later worked as an Amway lobbyist. Pitofsky's policy galvanized the official policy of the FTC that while a few MLMs may cross the line into pyramid fraud, using a unicorn-like definition of MLM is legitimate. The rare and selective Clinton-Pitofsky prosecutions became the FTC prosecution pattern for Democratic administrations, with virtually no pyramid prosecutions at all occurring under Republican presidents. Of 26 cases in the years following the Amway decision, 18 were brought or prepared in the final few years of the Clinton administration, another 5 of the 26 in the waning days of the Obama term. The contradiction and ineffectiveness of this policy was brought directly to Chairman Pitofsky's attention in February 2000 by former Assistant Attorney General of Wisconsin, now retired, Bruce Craig. He wrote to Chairman Pitofsky that he observed that the, quote, rules cited by Pitofsky in 1979 to protect against MLM deception and consumer harm were given only token recognition and were not enforced. This led millions of victims to believe their losses were their own fault. He cited some that lost life savings, stable jobs, and their marriages. He petitioned for an enforcement review. Chairman Pitofsky ignored Bruce Craig's request. The Clinton-Pitofsky-led FTC did not make any effort to determine the efficacy or enforcement of rules by Amway. It did not examine whether purchase quotas imposed on distributors and reward payments based on recruits' purchases, not sales, served to stimulate pyramid recruiting over personal and profitable retailing. It did not examine whether the massive loss and churn rates were consequences of an income proposition that could only be profitable to the top-level recruiters, dooming all the others by the money transfer design. At that time, and through early 2000s, whatever influence buying the pyramid lobby was conducting, which could account for the Clinton administration's failure to act and for Robert Pitofsky to ignore a person of the experience and stature of Bruce Craig, was unknown. The Clinton administration's gentle treatment of the MLM epidemic seemed inexplicable. In more recent years, the rewards to Democratic leaders for MLM protection and for aiding MLM in China have been revealed. The theorem of boodling and bribing as the driving force behind such actions, expounded by journalists such as David Graham Phillips almost 100 years earlier, was once again validated. In 1996, Clinton taped a 2.5-minute video presentation on behalf of the Direct Selling Association, now representing MLMs that had taken over the group. The video begins with the visual image of the famous presidential seal. He recites growth statistics provided by the DSA, omitting quitting rates. Echoing Ronald Reagan 20 years earlier, Clinton calls direct selling the heart of the American dream. He claims there are 21 million direct sellers in the world. Based on the Earth's population in 1996, this would leave only 271 humans, including infants, elderly, and desperately poor, for each of the direct sellers to sell to. He applauds the expansion of MLM, called direct selling, into China and Russia. 3 years earlier, MLM-style direct selling would be banned in China as a cult engaging in criminal activity, and urges more recruiting, noting, quote, "We need even more of this kind of opportunity direct selling represents." This video is often linked and cited by MLM promoters as, quote, proof of the legality and legitimacy of the MLM system, and is posted on Direct Selling 411, the YouTube channel of the Direct Selling Association. In February 2013, Amway reportedly paid Bill Clinton the astounding speaking fee of $700,000 for a speech delivered at an Amway event in Japan. Clinton's aid to MLM in China and inaction at home against any major MLMs hinted that a political fix was in force during those years of office. If that were not enough evidence, the payment of this magnitude from MLM and the image of Clinton sharing the podium at that speaking event with Amway CEO Dick DeVos, an arch foe and ideological antagonist of supposed Democratic Party values and policies, should make the case for old-fashioned boodle. A second top official from the Clinton administration also emerged as a champion of MLM. Madeleine Albright, Secretary of State, served as a business consultant and a brand ambassador for the multi-level marketing company Herbalife. In 2014, the New York Post reported that Albright's, quote, lucrative gig promoting Herbalife earned her an estimated $10 million. Albright's firm, the Albright Stonebridge Group, leveraged her diplomatic credibility gained as a public official under Clinton to expand Herbalife recruiting in other countries. She was particularly effective in getting, quote, Herbalife licenses in China. Albright was the second U.S. Secretary of State to become an MLM ambassador. Amway hired Alexander Haig shortly after he left that same cabinet position for Ronald Reagan. In recent years, the revelations of other prominent Democrats joining the cause of pyramid protection for fees and jobs have corrected earlier thinking that Republicans hold a monopoly in this lucrative protection program. Formerly known as the Amway Caucus in the 1990s and composed only of Republicans, today 41 members of the House of Representatives have joined the newly rebranded Direct Selling Caucus. 18 members are Democrats.